For all you Groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you. This is the FANA Fan Podcast, and I'm Topliss. And for all you Groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you. And this podcast can also be for the Hensford Town fans tonight. And I've got one of your own very special fans tonight. It's Trevor. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, thank you. It was good to see you yesterday.
Oh, pleasure to meet you, mate, at long last yesterday. Thank you very much for making me feel so welcome and for my unguided tour.
My pleasure.
So then, Trevor Edwards from Cannock, in the West Midlands. How did you get into football, mate? How did it all start for you?
Well, it all started basically at school. I had a very, very good school teacher. Obviously, if you've got an interesting school teacher, takes an interest in you, you want to play football. And obviously through junior school and secondary modern school, I played for the sort of school teams and the district teams. Two famous players I played alongside in the district team was a lad called Jeff Palmer, played over 400 games for Wolverhampton Wanderers. He also made a few appearances for Burnley. And a little goalkeeper called Paul Cooper, who played for Ipswich in the 1973 FA Cup final. Yeah. So both of those I know, and both played in the school teams around this area. So that's where my sort of career started. Obviously, I went to Walsall as an apprentice, didn't make it, got kicked out of there. And then you keep going on the slippery slope. I went to Hensford Town, made the first team, went down to the second team, and then went to Armitage. And that's all I kept on doing and keep on dropping. So you obviously either your face didn't fit or you wasn't quite good enough. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's how football. That's how football. But throughout that, then I continued. I played the game. I managed the game. I was a Class 1 referee. But my heart and soul is still in football. I love the game. I just love the game of football. So that's how it started.
Fantastic.
And still in my body. I still love the game. I get enthusiastic.
Yeah. So you say, as a player, I didn't quite make it, but what about as a manager and a referee?
Not really, no. Basically, I reached sort of West Midland League standard. Well, everything was West Midland League standard, which is like, it was very good in those days. The West Midland Banks's League was a good standard of football. It'd be equivalent to the sort of the Conference North, I'd say, these days. Because obviously it's all changed, all the steps have come in. But my sort of era, being old, being 68, and, you come to those sort of eras whereby, we enjoyed our sport. Yeah, it was a good standard. So I enjoyed it.
I'll say as often myself, every time I go to the West Midlands, it's always a close game.
Yeah.
Always a close game. I've never had a 5-0 yet. It's always been 1-0s, 3-1s, 2-1s. Absolutely.
Very competitive. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's where my love of football came.
Yeah, why not? What about supporting then? I know I can see the badge on your hoodie there.
I've had to wear it today. Yeah, I've had to wear it today to shout the lads on. My love of Man United started actually with a book, a yearly book that used to come out called A World of Soccer. Mm-hmm. Your granddad might have told you about World of Soccer. It used to come out. It was the Christmas annual every year. All the kids used to have it. And in mine, that particular year, they showed everything about the Busby Babes and the Munich air disaster. And obviously I took it all in, and that's how come I fell in love with Manchester United. And I read about a certain player called Duncan Edwards, who happened to die in the crash, and he was going to be a legend. If anybody's not heard of Duncan Edwards, they should try and read up about him. He was a man mountain, and he was born in this area, not 30 miles away from where I live in Dudley. I've been to see his grave. I've read up on him. I've tried desperately to try and do the ancestry to prove that I'm related to him, and that's where I had my football knowledge from. But I haven't been able to do that just yet. But that's where my love. And the first FA Cup final I watched was 1963, Man United versus Leicester. Dennis Law got a goal and David Hurd got 2. And that's where my love of those. And obviously I followed them all the way through then. When I sort of quit my footballing, when I got dejected with football, I had probably 3 seasons where I followed Man United home and away with a team of lads. We called ourselves the Cannock Reds, and we went home and away all over Europe watching Man United, and it was an experience. To go to 2 cup finals consecutively in 76 and 77, lost against Southampton and beat Liverpool the year after. Going to Hillsborough twice to watch him play the semi-finals against Derby and Leeds. It's just, though, you'll never forget those days. You know, there's so much good. Of course, obviously, then seeing the European Cup final in 1968, and colour on the TV was just awesome. Bobby Charlton scoring the winner. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. You know, so when it's in your blood, you never lose it. It's once a Red, always a Red, and that's me. That's me. So it's there. So that's my love of Man United.
Fair play. What's it like watching a cup final with Manchester United?
Well, it's the highs and lows, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is the highs and lows. It really is. You know, I mean, I'm not joking. Those 2 days, I can remember leaving Cannock at around about 5 o'clock in the morning and travelling down there. Yeah. Because we wanted to experience the old day, you know, and we did experience the old day. We was there, and walking down the old Wembley way is completely different to the new Wembley way of today. Yeah. So, and of course, I've never, you know, I still go to Old Trafford now. You can't get tickets for the Premiership. It's nigh on impossible because Man United, they're such a well-run club. You've got the membership list of God knows how many thousand on there waiting. But I do go to watch the European games, the League Cup games, and I just buy an hospitality ticket for me and my great nephew, and we just go up and watch the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I you know, it just means a lot to me. Yeah, passionate about it.
Yeah. It's a shame about tickets these days. In this day and age, there's only a few clubs really, say, in this country that you really struggle to get a ticket for. Man United is one of them, though, admittedly, and so's Liverpool. You know, you'd probably say all the big 6 are a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
But like you say, you've been away with them as well. I mean, away even harder.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is because just a few. It's a lot easier in Germany and Spain and France. You go and try and watch football over there. I mean, I've watched a fair few games in Poland as well and in Latvia. It's very easy to go and get a ticket. You know, in Spain when I've been on holiday in Spain in Mallorca, I went to watch Real Mallorca play. Just fantastic. You know, just go. It's just
Only it was so easy.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. But that's the problem when you support a big club like Man United, really. I do. I mean, I still do have an inkling for Warsaw. I do follow Warsaw a lot. Even though they kicked me out, I do like to follow them and see the results. So, yeah, I've really got tiers of football, you know, Man United, Warsaw, Hensford, you know. It goes all the way along the line.
Yeah. We'll touch on Hensford in a second, but tell me a bit more about Walsall then. You've been to them quite a bit this season at all?
No, I've not seen them this year. Not seen them at all this year, no. But me and my brother-in-law, he's passed away now. His ashes are buried at the Saddlers. I knew the club secretary very well, and when I was in business, I used to sponsor the games, and I used to have a box like for a meal and that sort of thing, and I'd do the match ball award, that sort of stuff. So yeah. But when my business finished, I didn't really have that much interest to go back there. I'd go for the odd game. I think I've been a couple of times since then, but not a lot. You know. But I still look for them.
Yeah,
they're still in your heart.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. They're still in your heart.
Yeah, definitely. And again, Hensford then. So How did your love for Hensford Town start?
Well, again, it was my local club. It was my local club. It's on my doorstep. I lived in Cannock at the time, but we used to walk everything where as kids. And the old ground, I mean, it had old probably 2,000 or 3,000, and that was West Midland League. It was not big league at all, but there was a lot of, and it was cheap. Everybody used to go. It was like a way out, breaking out of home. It was just beautiful, and a lot of kids used to go. We just used to enjoy it, And then obviously that ground got sold off, and they moved to the new ground, which obviously I've continued to support. And as I've sort of got older, I've continued to sort of put money into them and do things for them and promote them and be involved in the supporters association. I've recommended players to, because I see a lot of non-league football. I often see a player and I sometimes say, well, this player ain't a bad player playing for Stratford at the moment, or he's coming down from Sunderland and he's looking for a club, So I do sort of try and get involved as well on that sort of side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, how long have you been associated with Hensford Town for? How long does it date back to?
Probably 30, 40 years. 30, 40 years, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah. Easy. Maybe even longer than that, easy. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Easy 40 odd years.
What are your best memories with Hensford? Because I know obviously they've been as high as the what we now know as the National League.
This is the good thing is we won the FA Trophy, beating Canby Island, and that was played at Villa Park that year. It wasn't played at Wembley. It was Villa Park. My good friend Chris Brindley, he was the assistant manager at the time, player manager, and he actually scored the winning goal. And the celebration that day was out of this world. It was absolutely beautiful. Another interesting point is they obviously went a long way in the FA Cup. They went past the fourth round, got the round after that. Do they call it the sixth round? Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah,
I think it was the sixth round. They played Middlesbrough. They drew here at Cross Keys and then went up to the old
Ayrton Park.
Yeah, and then they lost there 3-2. Yeah, they played really well that season. So that was good. And another interesting one is that they won I've always used it in quiz questions. Name an English team that's won the FA Cup in Wales. And Hensford Town won the FA Cup, the Welsh FA Cup, the one season.
Wow.
How about that?
How did they get into that cup?
There you go.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year it was. I think it was late 60s or early 70s. But they did. They won the Welsh FA Cup. Yeah.
Fantastic.
To appear in the Welsh FA Cup final.
Claim to fame.
Claim to fame, yeah.
I wonder why they got into that cup. That must have been interesting how they were allowed to enter, but still.
Well, that's right. But it's like now, isn't it? I mean, we got we got Scottish teams English teams playing in Scotland. We got Welsh teams playing in England,
Yeah.
So it does happen.
Berwick Rangers, Cardiff City, Swansea City, in Merthyr Town.
Right. And Chester don't know what it wants to be. It's got one foot in England and one foot in Wales.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just like the race course. That's a quiz question that I use as well. Name the only race course to be in two countries. Yeah, Chester, England and Wales. The one side and the one side's in Wales. And the Diva Stadium, Chester was exactly the same. It was exactly the same.
How do they measure that border? How do they measure that?
No idea where. I don't know where that border goes. I think it's something to do with the river in Chester. That's what I think.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago, 2012 to 2013, the season that was. Tell me about it. Why is that season stick out for Hensford Town Football Club?
Why 2012, 2013?
Yeah, I saw it on the plaque yesterday. The season that was.
Oh, the season that was?
Yes.
Well, is that the season they moved?
I can't remember what he said on the plaque, to be honest. I think
No.
it was just a great season. I think he may have won something, promotion.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure.
I think it was the FA Trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been the FA Trophy. Yeah, yeah, the FA
Wow.
Trophy. Don't forget this club. This club was formed in, I think it was 1888. I think something like that.
Yeah, it's a very old club.
Oh, it's a very old club. It's long established. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2012 was the year. Yeah, it'll be the season we won the FA Trophy. Yeah, nothing major. No, just the FA Trophy.
Another trophy in the trophy cabinet, though, isn't it?
Oh,
FA
that's right.
Trophy.
You want those trophies in the trophy cabinet, don't you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
For a club that size, it's a
Yeah.
cracker.
It's important. It's important. You know that we're already out of all the local cups. We have a Staffordshire Senior Cup. We have a Birmingham Senior Cup, and we're out of both of those, unfortunately. We lost to West Bromwich under 21s last week, 3-2. Yeah. So now we're out of all the little cups as well, as well as the League Cup, the FA. Yeah, and of course that's what clubs rely on, income.
Yeah, but a cup run does a club really well. Not just financially, but publicising.
Yeah, that's right. And it's whatever the trophy, I don't care. It's been one of the arguments I've had recently with a couple of people who said, well, we can't afford to go down. We can't afford to go down. Really, I mean, I go back years. It doesn't hurt to go down as long as you come back. Because when you come back, you'll come back stronger. And your fan base will actually increase when you're winning in a lower division. And that is a known fact. You know, your fan base, the support for a winning team is more for a support in a lower team and somebody playing at the bottom in a higher category.
Absolutely.
It's definitely true. That's a true fact. I've seen it time and time again. Yeah, time and time again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll be back on that one.
Yep, a good friend will know all about that, supporting Rotherham.
Yeah, yo-yo.
Yeah, yo-yo. West Brom, Barnsley, they're all the same.
Yeah, West Brom the same, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it happens. It definitely happens.
Yeah. And here we are now, 10 years on from that famous season, Ensford languishing in the bottom three. And
second from bottom.
Chairman stepping down at the end of the season. What are your thoughts?
Well, obviously, we had a fans forum about 4 weeks ago, and it was brought up then that the owners had been receiving emails, phone calls, posts on the Facebook pages at the club, etc., which was directed at them personally rather than the club, and it was affecting their family lives, and so that's why we had an open meeting. And they stressed that it was getting to the stage whereby they just felt like they didn't want to be involved in it. But they said, we will stick with it because obviously we come here for a reason. But apparently after the game the other week, when I was away somewhere, somebody phoned and gave some verbal abuse to the chairman and his wife and his family. And basically they said enough's enough. And then the post was made on this week, Wednesday, I think it was, after they'd spoke to the players. And they just said basically they're going to finish at the end of the season. They won't take up the final option to buy the rest of the ground. I think they've paid a deposit down to open up negotiations. But the end of the 3 years come up, I believe, the end of the season. And so basically they're going to walk away, which will leave then the club, the football club, in the hands of the previous owner, who had already previously sold part of the complex off to building development. So we're all now wondering where this will leave the club in the foreseeing future. It's going to be very interesting.
What can be done to save the club from this uncertain future?
Well, I've already started putting a few feelers out. I mean, I've got an accountancy background. That's where I come from. I'm all facts and figures. I mean, anybody will tell you to run a football club is very expensive. It's not an game. The guys that are just coming out of it, I dread to think how much money they've put into to support the club. I really do. It's frightening. So the way forward will only be, you've got to know which league you're going into.
Yeah.
You've got to know then when you're going to go and play at Hensford Town with, as you know, it's a very big ground and it needs a lot of heating, rates, insurance, electricity, water. It's phenomenal. Those costs alone. Or do you move to a ground like a 4G pitch and just rent that pitch on a 4G basis, where the cost will be minimal over it? You're only paying for the use of that Saturday or that Tuesday night rather than paying for it 7 days a week.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
Absolutely.
So that's an option. And then obviously there's a ground share option if you want to play on the normal pitch. You know, the likes of Chasetown Football Club, the likes of Stafford Rangers, you know, you could even say the likes of somebody like East Football Club, which is in a lower division. But obviously that would need approval from the league that you're going into next season.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
Of course.
So I think it's just going to be a case of sounding out as much information as we can, finding out and getting a few people together and seeing what we can come up with. And I think you've got to come up with one or two options, you know. I mean, there is a third option. One of the things because I do a lot of work with charities, I'm involved in charity work. One of the things that brought into by this government many years ago, probably about 10 years back, was a thing called community interest companies. And this is where you take on either an old pub or an old post office, right? And it's bought by the people of the village or the town.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they buy it and then they run it. And by being a community interest company, you don't pay any rates, and it's exempt. It's a non-profit making organisation. So there are a lot of benefits of doing that. But that was a bit like Ebbsfleet. Can you remember Ebbsfleet? They tried it as a community interest company, but they failed. And now I think it's back to normal ownership.
Okay. Yeah. What was it? How did they fail? Do you remember what the reason was?
I think it was financial again. I think it was all down to money. All down to money.
Yeah.
Normally in football clubs, they don't pay the VAT or they don't pay the Inland Revenue or they pay too much out in wages on budgets. Yeah. But I don't know the reason why.
I mean, could it be a factor in the sense of how high they are up the football pyramid? Obviously, they're higher than Hensford, as you know.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
National League probably at that point. I know they're in the south.
They were, yes, definitely. Yeah, they were definitely National League at that stage.
Yeah,
but it's, as I say, there are a lot of options. But at the end of the day, we need to know that you've got a team.
Yeah,
so you've got a management team and a team. Your wonderful, brilliant, dedicated volunteers there are at Hensford now want to carry on and have got the purpose to carry on. Because without them in the last 20 years, we would have folded. Because they do so much. You know, I mean, I introduced you to most of them yesterday.
Yeah.
The work they do. I mean, we run our own TV station. You know, we do our own Twitter accounts. We do our own Facebook pages. We've got a proper supporters association. The things that go on behind the the scenes are unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, the maintenance of the pitch, all the maintenance around the ground, long-standing people, you know.
Yeah.
But I will say that is normal in most clubs in non-league. I mean, I go around a lot of non-league grounds, and there's some wonderful people. I've met some wonderful people, and they should all be applauded. You know, I think they should all. The FA ought to turn around and say, all volunteers in non-league club, you get your FA Cup medal at the end of the year as well. You know, because they do a marvellous job. You know, unrewarded.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as I walked around the ground yesterday and we got to the Hensford end, very definite in there, very definite in there from the young lads and ladies in there. I mean, could any of them help out maybe in that sort of sense, involuntary? Could any of them want a career in media?
Well, funny enough, funny enough, one of the young lads with Dave and Tim in that room we went into, I think he's only 15, 16, he's doing it as part of his education at school. So we've already included him. Good, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What a way to start.
It is, yeah. So he's helping doing the match reports. And as I say, if you go on Facebook and look at Hensford Town TV, Dan's already put up the game for yesterday. And definitely not a penalty. However, he got a penalty for that, I do not know. Honestly.
Soft.
He's running the ball out, and the player actually does a 45-degree angle move across his leg like that, in front of him. The ball's going out to get the penalty. Amazing. But when you're at the bottom, things don't go for you.
They never do.
And that's a certain fact. Yeah, I know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What? So, I mean, what can we do to keep this football club afloat?
Well,
as a football fan base all across the country, what can we do to save Hensford Town?
I'll make an appeal that basically, number one, if there is a Ryan Reynolds or a Robbie Savage out there that wants to do a Ryan Reynolds or Robbie Savage on Hensford Town, get in touch.
Yeah.
Because I will welcome them and show them round, give them the guided tour, tell them all about the club and the history of the club and the players, and get that feeling. You know, I'd love to do that. But I know it's going to be difficult. You know, it's very hard. It's very, very difficult. I mean, you know, it's just a once in a lifetime. But when you say Hensford Town, there are a lot of clubs in exactly the same position currently that I know that are going to be in a similar sort of situation. And I think it's a case of a few clubs will be looking at the end of the season where they're going to be. You know, I've already heard there's a few going next season. So it's a case of watch the small clubs as well. And it'll continue. It'll continue. You know, I just wish there was more people like you and me and the rest of the Groundhoppers that go around and support these little clubs. You know, because it is great. I mean, it is lovely to see the little grounds and the way they work.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say in terms of Hensford, in terms of going up the leagues, you've got nothing to worry about in terms of ground grading. Nothing to worry about whatsoever. Like I said on the mic yesterday, there are worse grounds in League Two than that. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You'll have nothing to worry about. You're all set up. You've almost, as an owner, got a jump start in that sense.
Well, as I say, one of the big things this year was to change the lights, the floodlights. Yeah. And that was courtesy of, alongside West Bromwich Albion, who now ground share. Their under-21s play there regular. Yeah. And obviously they wanted the floodlights upgraded. So that was part of the deal to bring them there. They bring also their own ground staff to make sure the pitch is up to standard. And considering all the games that are played on there, it's not a bad playing surface. It's flat. No. It doesn't really get waterlogged. It's quite a good ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plenty of car parking. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, There is one Hollywood celebrity that was in Wrexham yesterday. I mean, it'd be great for him to take over and one day go, "You did it! World's greatest non-league football club. Great to meet you."
I did
Will
see
Ferrell.
that. Will Ferrell, and funny enough, he's been at the game Leeds United versus Man United today. Did you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he got a little bit of introduction. So maybe he's watching, and maybe he'll want to try and copycat. It'll be nice.
He included in his tweet yesterday, Birmingham City are looking for a new owner, apparently. Well, if he goes a couple of miles up the road, he'll find another club looking for an owner. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, and I always think it's better to start at the bottom. Yeah.
Learn your trade.
And to be honest, as I say, if somebody was to go in there and buy the club completely, yeah, and have a real go, even if it failed, they could still sell the ground as building land anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's already done it. It's already been there. It's already happened once. So they're not going to just leave a football pitch, a derelict football pitch, are they?
No.
In years to come. So the planning permission will be, I don't think that would ever be a problem. So I think if somebody wanted to give a good 3 or 5 year plan, that I don't think they'd be far wrong. I don't think they'd be far wrong. But I certainly haven't got the money. But yeah. I'd like to think that the ground could be saved. You know, I really would.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. And any Groundhoppers watching this, assemble Hednesford Town before the end of the season. Get there and show as much support as you can.
That's right.
And again, anybody out there who's looking to own a football club, here's your place, Hednesford Town Football Club. Yep. So away from Hednesford, there was a special footballer, you told me, that you coached as a youngster.
Yeah, young Stanley Collymore. Well, Stanley Collymore, funny enough, as a young lad, grew up by me. Where I lived, I lived on a football pitch basically all my life. Spent on a football pitch next door to my home where I lived. Council house, same as Stan, council house. Stan lived probably about 250 yards. Lovely mum and dad. But Stan was always edgy at school, big, strong lad. I can remember my sister having an argument with him and chasing him up the road. And then Stan's mum coming saying, what you eating our Stan for? Because they always thought Stan could never do wrong. But my sister had a good go at him. I don't know what it was over, but she definitely had a good go at him. But Stan played football a lot in the area. And when I was growing up, I was a youth worker. And the police, Cannock Police, decided to form a police boys football team. And we ended up having, I think it was about 6 sides called Cannock Police Boys Football Club. And then the nickname was Peelers, hence from the days of the Peelers. And Stan came to play, and he was one of the best footballers around in the area. And you could tell he was always going to be a player, because all throughout his things, I think he went to Wolves as a trialist, but didn't make it. Didn't make it. And you hear this more and more. Good players never made it when they were young. You know, there's a lot of good players never made it when they went as an apprentice anywhere. You know, it happened more and more. They seem to, because they look for certain things, the training and the coaching staff. So he sort of dropped out of it, and he ended up playing for Stafford Rangers, one of the local teams about 10 miles from Cannock. And I watched him time and time again. And from there, he moved to Crystal Palace for 100,000. And then he went to the likes of, I think he went to Notts Forest, then Liverpool, and then back to the, you know. But it Stan's a lovely lad. I mean, you hear some things about him, but he is a nice lad, you know. I mean, I remember being at Wembley when he was walking up and down the touchline, and me and my mate sat in the stand, and he couldn't wait to wave and say hello. You know, it was just so nice. It was so touching to think that, you know, he'd recognise that fact. He didn't need to do it, you know. And he is definitely a home bird. I mean, He comes to Cannock quite regular. His mum and dad still live. I don't know whether his dad's still alive, but his mum and I know his mum still lives down in Cannock, and he comes to Cannock quite regularly. He's a nice lad, lad, and he'll always talk.
Yeah.
But I think when you get famous, you do want to be. You don't want to be bombarded by everybody, do you?
Of course not.
And I can understand that. I mean, I still do that now. I mean, as I say, I go up to Old Trafford and I do a bit of charity work. I see Lou Macari, who used to play for Man United, and Alex Stepney, Gordon Hill. I've got them on my sort of Twitter accounts. And they come out. I mean, I've done some charity work with Lou, and he's such an humble man. He runs a homeless charity in Hamley in Stoke-on-Trent, where he managed and played and does things there. And he just works so tirelessly, and he should receive a sort of a knighthood for the work that he does. But they never do they? The people that are really humble never get the rewards they richly deserve. And he is a genuine person. And I was amazed. He never smoked. He never drank. And for some footballers of that era, that is like out of this world, because nearly all of the footballers in them days used to smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them, and drink. And it was a big drinking culture in there.
Yeah.
A lot of the players used to drink a lot. Yeah. But nowadays, they're told exactly what to eat, exactly what to drink, when to drink. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never
diet key.
Diet, unbelievable. You hear it today and you think, oh my God. But that goes back to coaching. We did no coach when we were coaching the young kids when I was coaching sort of 14, 15-year-old. We never did the things they do today. I mean, my 15-year-old, Archie now, the work they do, I'd be knackered if I had to do the training they do before the kickoff. I'd be absolutely knackered. Whereas in our day, all we used to do is give them a ball and let them play with it. We used to play 2-touch or 3-touch or 1-touch or pig in the middle. We never used to do the intense training. I mean, if you weren't fit in them days, you never was going to be fit, was you?
No.
And yet they've got them running up and down the pitch in sprints. I think, give them a ball. Let them play with the ball. Different era. It's my age. My age showing again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, aside from all that, you do like to visit a couple of grounds yourself, don't you? How many grounds?
I've done a fair few grounds at home and abroad, really.
Yeah.
I should really tick them off more often when I do go, but I go that often. You forget it, don't you?
Yeah.
Jack told me all about footballology, which I think is absolutely brilliant. It has helped me out on a couple of occasions, but invariably I go and watch the likes of Rushall, Wood, Chasedown, Stafford Rangers, Heath Hayes, Hensford, Uttoxeter Town, all my local clubs I go and see on a regular basis. And I know most of the managers there or the secretaries because they've been involved in football like me all their lives. And so it's always nice to see. So I do support them a lot.
Good stuff. Yeah. Do you have a favourite ground that you visited over the years or any honourable mentions?
Well, my most favourite ground is obviously Hensford.
Yeah.
It's in your heart. It's in your heart. Yeah. And the volunteers and the friendly faces and the people you see and the spectators as well. You'll invariably you'll see somebody and you can talk to. And it's just that nice, warm feeling, And I do think Midland people are generally nice people. I have been to grounds down south, and I think I won't say offish. They're not as welcoming. I don't think they're as welcoming. Whereas I think from the Midlands and the North, wherever you go, you are made to feel welcome. I don't know whether you've noticed that, but I definitely have.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I think it's a fair comment. As far as my worst club, I've got to say, it's the worst ground I've ever been to is one of these cage 4G pitches. I'm not joking. I went to watch Walsall Wood playing I think it was a League Cup. And they play in the Midland Combination League. And it's a team called Hormond from Shropshire in Shrewsbury. And they play within a cage, and you have to trudge from the sports village down to this sort of cage. There's no standing, nothing like that. You're just sort of blocked in around this cage. There's like standing areas on this one side. And then if you want to go for a toilet break, I'm going to swear then. When you want to go for a toilet break, or you want a sandwich or a cup of tea or something after, you've then got to trudge all the way back to the sports village and then come back. Yeah. So, and you pay for the privilege, obviously, to go there. So to me, I mean, I know I'm old, but that is not the way forward for football, in my opinion. And I think it will come. Probably not in my lifetime, but I think in your lifetime you'll see all pitches will be on the all-weather. Yeah.
They certainly are appearing an awful lot. And you are not the first person to say that 4G, 3G cages are the worst.
They're terrible, I tell you. And I've seen a few, I tell you. I don't like 4G pitches. I could never have played on one in my day. I was slow enough on a proper pitch, but I think turning and I'd be totally out of my reach. There's no way I'd play. And I'll tell you another interesting fact for you and your subscribers.
Okay.
I think, not in my lifetime again, but in your lifetime, you will see a woman player playing in a professional league, in a men's team.
Okay.
It will happen.
Okay.
I'm sure that will happen.
Any of the current England squad that could put fame to that?
Well, I don't know who I'd say. I don't know who I'd say. But I think it will happen. I think they will play. Maybe, I mean, I know they get, but it's not alarming money they're getting paid, is it? The women's professional team. You know, the likes of Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, they're reasonable. But the likes of somebody like Leicester, Wolves, West Bromwich, their women's teams are not going to be paid a lot. But I could see somebody from that sort of ilk playing for somebody like, I don't know, your Mansfields, your Warsaws, that sort of standard. I concede. I think it will. I really do. And then they'll be paid sort of like £1,000, £1,500 a week. They'll be happy. They'll be professional. Whereas some of them at the moment, they're running two jobs. They're running a job and a career.
Yeah.
You know? So, and playing football.
Yeah.
But I think that will happen. I can see that happening, Jake, to be honest.
Okay.
Watch
the
this
interesting one. I'll have to come back to this clip and watch you
yeah,
say.
watch this space in the future. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had the grounds. What about fan bases that you've seen over the years? Could be Hensford, could be anywhere. Who's the best fans you've come across, do you think?
Well, I would say the best fans, in my opinion, is Manchester United away.
Okay.
They are the true loyal supporters, and they do never, ever stop. That's a certain fact. The worst fans I have seen, going back to my sort of 76, 77 era where I did all the tours of everywhere, the two most hated sets of fans I would hate are Millwall, because I've seen, and we got involved with, as a Cannock Reds, we got involved with Millwall, and they weren't even in the same league. But they just wanted to cause trouble. And boy, did they cause trouble. They were renowned for it. They'd go and they just wanted to fight and just wanted to be nasty people. And then the worst team, the worst fans abroad, without a doubt, Napoli. Napoli.
Wow.
Read up on Napoli.
Napoli.
Yeah. Napoli.
Well, I know you'll get noise when you go watch Napoli. So I've been told.
Yeah, there's plenty of noise there as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they are they're vociferous fans, I can assure you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Millwall does have its reputation in this country for the wrong
Yeah,
reasons.
but
Yeah.
I don't think they have these days, because since they've sort of changed. It seems to have all quietened down. You don't seem to hear of any. Well, I don't think you really hear of any violent outbreaks like we used to have in the sort of mid-70s. I mean, the amount of trouble we used to have, the coaches being put in, you don't really hear that much about it these days. I don't think it's as bad as it used to be. I think we have quietened down a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 70s as well, you used to have the intercity boys from West Ham. They was a renowned lot of football fans. Yeah, I think fans are good now. I think well behaved, all good boys, just like me. Good boys, good boys.
Just to touch on that, I mean, I went to Millwall in October of 2021 when me and the family stayed over in London. I thought Millwall fans were ace. I really liked them. I've got a bit of a soft spot for them. I thought they were fantastic, very passionate. There was no trouble because I had to get the underground back into the city of London, Tower Bridge, and I thought the Millwall fans were fantastic. And they'd lost as well to Luton in dire circumstances. They played really poor.
Yeah.
But the fans in the train station were in very good spirits, despite that, singing. I thought they were class. I liked them.
Yeah. Very good.
But it's each to their own, I suppose. I mean, the stories here about Millwall, I think, from what I gather, they have one big day out a season. They pick somewhere and they'll send all the big boys, if you know what I mean, there. And that's where there'll be a little bit of trouble, maybe. But other than that,
I don't think it's as bad these days. I think football fans in general now are, and let's be honest, with CCTV these days in the grounds and around the grounds, really people aren't going to cause trouble.
No,
I mean, back in the 70s, we had none of that. You could do whatever you like. I'd have probably been arrested a few times and put in jail. I was only ever put in jail once. Yeah, only once I've ever been in jail overnight for causing trouble at Manchester United. That was in the 70s. Wow. And I was locked up in a jail overnight at Altrincham. Yeah. Alcoholic, of course. You don't drink before the game and during the game and after the game. And, of course, you cause trouble. And all they do is stick you in a van and take you to the station and let you sober up and send you off the next day. And then you realise the coach has gone, and then you think, well, how am I going to get back home? Well, we've got to go down the train. Yeah. Good days. Good days. Good days. Yeah, good days. Right, question for you, if I may.
Yeah.
They are putting you on the spot, just like you was yesterday.
Yep.
What's the best football strip you have ever seen?
The best football kit. Best shirt.
The best shirt.
So many a go by, isn't there? So many. Do you know one strip I always used to like? And it'll be my first memories of football. It'll be England's white shirt with the red stripe down the side with the badge. With Beckham and Michael in the white one.
Well, yeah, the white one, yeah.
Shaded shoulders. And the red strip down there at the side with the badge. I used to love that one. But again, I think it's because it's the first probably strip you saw. Because World Cup 2002 is my earliest memories.
Yeah.
Football. I mean, I don't mind kits that much, but that one I'll always remember.
Mine was always the West Bromwich one, green and yellow stripes.
Yeah.
So I saw Regis play at Manchester United on the night match, and they beat United 6-3 playing in that strip. And it's always stuck in mind. And then the worst football kit you've ever seen. The first.
Well, I think if I go with the worst combination, you probably have to go with Bristol City's away of purple and green, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I have seen.
And that one's a bit
Mine was always the chocolate strip of Coventry City.
Wow.
Check that out. Chocolate. Brown, honestly. Unbelievable. Yeah.
I mean, a team like York City can play in it because they have the chocolate story. And they do represent it really well with the gold and the brown, but like pure brown.
No. They've got a new ground now, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, I have, mate, yeah.
They've moved out of town. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I've not been to that one yet, but I went to the old ground. Yeah. That's the trouble now. All these teams have got new grounds. I think to myself, oh yeah, I'd love to go to it. You know, they're all out of town and all done. You know,
yeah,
the old grounds are better. I like the. I'm too nostalgic. I think that's my problem. That's why I want Ensford saved. Get them saved.
Yeah,
we don't want anything to fall by the wayside.
Absolutely. Is there any grounds out there that you'd like to visit?
Any grounds out there?
Anywhere in the world?
Anywhere in the world. Well,
yes.
the only ground that I've got on my tick list at the moment is a place called Fort William. And I think it must be on the tick list of nearly everybody in the United Kingdom at the moment.
Me included.
Because there was a TV programme recently on the telly telling all about the plight of Fort William. And it's just one of them places. There's also a lot of whiskey up there, and there's a lot of whiskey distilleries, which I have been to, but I've never went to the ground. So Fort William is definitely on my list to do.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be mine.
And if you're watching, Lawrence, Chris, Berazai, let's make it happen, lads. Come on, for all of us.
Yeah, that's right.
UK, let's get it out there.
Come that's right. We want it.
I'll be on that bus, definitely.
Yeah. We definitely want that.
100%, mate.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up, mate, we asked this question to everybody who we have on this podcast. If you could sum up football in 3 words, what would it be? It could be 3 separate words or a 3-word phrase. What would you go with?
Well, I that was a very hard question because you could go passionate, enthusiastic, and things like that. But I've got a little thing in my house that says love, live, and laugh. And I think I'd echo those 3 sentiments all the while. You love football, you live for it, and hopefully it makes you laugh.
Yeah.
And I think that, we spend all our time being sad, but I think football should make you laugh.
Yeah.
Whether you're up there or not, And seeing some of the VAR decisions this morning on bloody match of the day, that did make me laugh. I tell you. I don't know how they dream it up. I really don't.
Yeah.
So love, live, and laugh. That'll be mine.
Love, live, and laugh. I mean, I always remember the first memories of laughing at football when my dad got me. I think it was a DVD, Football Howlers by David Seaman, and I was like, me and my dad laughing me head off at that. Sneeman Snippets, it was called.
Yeah, I think you have got to laugh. You've got to laugh at football. I tell you, because you can't believe some of the things that actually happen. You really can't. Can you remember the one in the World Cup where the goalkeeper came out and then did a backflip? I think it was Peru or Colombia.
Rene Higuita.
Yeah, and he did it was like a back kick on the. Can you believe that?
I know.
And then the one when there was the FA Cup where they give a free kick, they was all lined up. This guy come running out, and just kicked the ball miles up the pitch. He got booked for it.
I think that was the World Cup 1974. Was there? Yeah. Who were now called the Republic of Congo.
Yeah, that's right.
Referee waiting for that whistle, waiting to run out. Yeah. Run out. Went, bosh, get out of here. Have that.
You've got to love it. You've got to love football. You have got to love football. You've got to laugh at it. You've got to enjoy it. And you've got to live it. You've got to keep on going. You can't give up. You've got to keep on going. I mean, now you've got your car. That's it. The world's your oyster, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your world's your oyster. Here, there, and everywhere. Yeah.
Here, there, and everywhere. And long may it continue.
Exactly.
But Trev, it was a pleasure to meet you yesterday, mate. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. Pleasure having you.
And thank you for coming down yesterday and listening to the plight of Ensford Town Football Club. And hopefully we can make it happen.
Yep. Groundhoppers assemble. Let's get Hednesford Town saved and playing football once again next season at Keys Park.
Yeah, well,
it may be. I mean, one positive you will get next season, you'll get to meet the Halesowen Town fans, unless
it's a different league.
If they don't go up, that of course, obviously, I think they're doing well this season.
They are. No, I think the most important thing is to anybody get on the website Hednesford Town Football Club on Facebook, Hednesford Town TV on Facebook as well. You'll see the plight. You'll understand what's going on. And hopefully, any Groundhoppers out there, feel free to mention when you're coming down. And if I'm about, I'll willingly show you around. It is a nice ground. It has got a bit of character, and there's some nice people there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great stuff. Thanks for the invite, Jake.
No worries, mate. Thank you for having us. And this has been the FANA Fan Podcast. We'll see you next time. Ta-da.